Hey, this is a really quick demo of React Server components, specifically data fetching and server actions, right? So data fetching is more on get requests, getting data directly from a DB, and server actions involves mutations like submitting a form, updating a form, and all of that. So we'll quickly get through to the code. I have a home component, super simple. You can see here this is a server component because I don't have any directives above, and all I'm going to do here is paste in a raw DB call. And I know this looks weird, right? But this is how you can do it now with React Server components. It's super easy. And all I do is I pass products into my show products component, which is already written for me. And if I go back to Chrome, you can see that my products show up here in a list. Right, so the next thing I want to do is configure the form itself. So I'm going to go to add product, and you can see I have a big form here, everything's written. And here, very simply, I'm going to use a new hook. It's called use form state. It comes directly from React DOM. This is part of their latest build, right? And I'm going to wire up the action to my form itself. So I'm going to do action equal to form action. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to also add a button in my card footer, right? So this button is essentially a submit button. And you can see here, this also uses use form status, which is another hook provided by React DOM as of late, right? So this gives me access to a bunch of things. The main thing here is a pending state, and I can use this pending state to check if the API call is currently happening or if the form submission is currently happening, and it gives me a way to essentially go back and forth. Now the key here you can see is that I have this create product, which is passed as the first argument to use form state. Now if I go in here, you can see I have a file called actions.ts, and this is where all my actions are. I've abstracted away the DB call to get products. I'm not using it, but you can, right? And you can also see the used server directive here. So this signifies that all of these are server actions. So this create product is very simple. It takes in two arguments. It takes in previous state and it takes in form data. I have simple Zord parsing to check, Zord validation rather, to check if these are valid. And then I parse this from the form itself, and then I push them into my DB. And then I call a revalidate path. So the last line here, as you can see, is revalidate path that comes from the next cache library. So this essentially ensures that it does something known as on-demand revalidation. So I'll post a link to the documentation for that. But in short, it makes sure that your data, your freshest data, comes in as soon as possible. So if I go back here now and I refresh, so now I can add a product here. Let's say flower, and the category is, let's just name it something else. Let's call it broom, right? And I click on submit, and you can see that my broom got added. And in my Drizzle Studio, which is my database studio, you can see that the product got added here as well.